Okay, testing 1, 2. video.
Is it back? Good morning. This is Steve Krause with Directed Energy. And, nope. Okay. All right. Good morning. This is Steve Krause with Directed Energy. And I want to welcome you to the PCO-7125 webinar this morning. Sorry about that little glitch. We're having a camera problem, so we're going to have to go without the cameras this morning. But that's all right. We'll get through it. My name is Stephen Krause with Directed Energy. As I said, I'm joined today by Martin Jones behind the camera, which is not working, but who is also controlling the webinar. And I'd like to welcome you to this morning's discussion of the 7125. The first thing I want to talk about, there's a couple of little housekeeping items that will help us get through this more smoothly. One of them is that this will be recorded, so there will be a recording available on our YouTube channel for those of you who may have colleagues that weren't available to join us this morning live, or who, if you want to review the information at a later time, you can go back to that and it'll be available. We'll have that up later this afternoon or tomorrow afternoon for you to watch. The next thing is there are three icons for those of you who are using the Zoom function or the Zoom application. There are three icons in the lower part of that screen. The first one on the left is the chat icon. That one is the one that if you can let us know if there's something that's not working on the webinar, like you can't see the camera, for example. Obviously, we'll work through that one. But you should be able to hear me speaking, and you should be able to see the slide that I'm talking about here. And so that kind of thing, if there's something that's not working, please hit us up in the chat and let us know that. The next one over is a raise hand. That lets us know that there's something in the chat that we need to address. So if you put something in the chat and Marty doesn't get to it right away, but it's affecting your experience, let us know. And by pushing that raise hand button, and that'll alert Marty that there's an issue. And then finally, there's the Q&A icon there on the right. And that's where please put in questions about the PCO-7125 that we can answer during the Q&A session. And go ahead and put those in if they come up throughout the presentation. Go ahead and put them in. It doesn't matter. It's not. You don't have to wait until the end. But we'll go ahead and get those queued up, and we'll answer those at the end of the program. Next, I want to ask if the audio and video is working. Obviously, I know that the video camera is not working, but you should see the slideshow on the, and Marty's letting me know that everything's working okay. So the audio and video are working. That's great. As I mentioned, at the end of the program, we are going to have questions that we'll answer live. We answer questions live through participants in the Zoom application. We are streaming live on YouTube this morning, but we don't monitor the YouTube or Facebook Live chat feeds. So if you want to ask questions, you will need to be in the Zoom application. Finally, when it comes to questions, I do like to mention that if you have a question that might involve intellectual property or a comprehensive system that would require a lot of explanation, I realize that it's very hard to get the details into the chat and then have us able to answer that in a way that makes any sense. And also, we don't want you to share any intellectual property with us, and we're certainly not going to broadcast that over the internet. So if you have private or intellectual property questions or complicated scenarios, go ahead and email us at sales@directedenergy.com or call us at 970-493-1901, and we'll be happy to talk to you about that. Last but not least, in terms of housekeeping, at the end of the webinar, there is going to be, when you close out the Zoom application, you're going to be asked what the webinar was like. And we'd really appreciate any feedback that helps us make these more valuable to you or make this experience better for you. So please feel free to put in any comments. Obviously, we like comments that they went well, but the comments that tell us what didn't go well are the ones that really help us make them better in the future. So what we're going to cover this morning is, in terms of the PCO-7125, is we're going to watch a couple of pre-recorded videos. The introductory video for the product itself, which is going to cover the product overview. We'll go through what you get, what's in the box, and then accessories that you can purchase to support the PCO-7125. We're also going to have a video with basic operation and setup, and this is the setup on your bench. You know, how if you order it, you know, what are you going to get and how are you going to set it up on your bench and make it work? What support equipment is required, safety tips, and performance tips as well. And once we get through those two videos, we're going to come back to the live portion of the webinar. I'll talk a little bit about pricing and availability, where to buy. We'll go through the Lab to Launch program, and then we'll open up the Q&A portion of the webinar. And if at any time throughout the webinar you have again a performance issue going on with the webinar itself, please hit us up in the chat. Otherwise, if you have a question about your application or the PCO-7125 itself, please go ahead and put those in the Q&A section just throughout the program, and we will get to those just as soon as the main live portion of the pre-programmed portion of the webinar is complete. Marty, if you're ready, let's go ahead and cue up that first video. Need a fast pulse laser diode driver module for your high-power diode? The PCO-7125 is designed to drive high-power diodes with narrow pulse widths at up to 865 kHz. Stephen Krause here with Directed Energy to introduce the PCO-7125 pulse laser diode driver module. Imaging, LiDAR, mapping, security. The list of applications for pulsed lasers continues to grow, and niches within those applications are developing all the time. The PCO-7125 provides the high-speed, high-current performance of our PCO product line and adds continuously adjustable pulse width, providing you added flexibility in both OEM and research applications. Using this module, you'll be able to operate at frequencies from single shot to 865 kHz. There's plenty of drive current available from 500 milliamps up to 5 amps, supporting a wide variety of high-speed, high-power laser diodes. The PCO-7125 is designed to drive single-junction diodes requiring compliance voltages up to 5 volts. A fast rise time of less than 17 nanoseconds allows narrow pulse widths less than 34 nanoseconds, continuously adjustable up to 1 microsecond. 4 dedicated mounting holes provide an easy way to mount the PCO-7125 in your end product, experiment, or system. With a continuously variable narrow minimum pulse width along with high current capability, the PCO-7125 offers product designers and researchers an off-the-shelf solution for a wide variety of applications. Directed Energy is your pulsed power partner from lab to launch. Thank you for watching. To learn more about how you can use the PCO-7125 in your application, please call us at 970-493-1901, email us at sales@directedenergy.com, or visit the webpage by clicking the link below or scrolling down if you're already on our website. this video, we'll cover the setup and basic operation of the PCO-7125 pulsed laser diode driver module. We'll go over what you get when you order the PCO-7125, how to set the module up on your benchtop, what support equipment you'll need, basic operation, and finally, a few operating tips and troubleshooting pointers. Stephen Krause with Directed Energy here to help you set up and operate your PCO-7125 pulsed laser diode driver module. Let's get started. When you open the box, you'll find a document listing all of the contents. Of course, you'll find the unit itself and the accessory kit containing the operating manual and the control cable. When you remove the PCO-7125 from the box, you'll notice the connectors J1 and J2. J1 is used to provide the 12-volt support power, high voltage supply, and trigger input for the module. We'll use J2 to monitor the current with the optional PCA-7225 current monitor cable. In this example, we've installed a short in the D3 location, but in your application, your diode would go here. You can directly attach a TO5, TO18, TO52, 5.6mm or 9mm diode directly to the PCO-7125, and this is the recommended configuration when possible. When remote mounting of the diode is desired, our 1820-0030 strip line can be attached to the tabs on the top and bottom side of the module, and then used to connect the diode some distance from the unit. While supplying the necessary power and signals is easy when designing the module into your final system, when you want to operate it on the bench for research or testing, you'll need a few things. The PCO-7125 requires 12 volts for housekeeping power. This can be a very simple and low current power supply around 100 milliamps. In order to trigger the module, you'll need a standard TTL level signal of 4 to 5 volts. The high voltage power required to operate the laser diode should be capable of delivering 200 volts at 125 milliamps. For users who purchase the PCA-9245 current monitor cable, you can use that to monitor the output current directly from J2 on the PCO-7125. For users measuring laser output, you'll need the equipment necessary to make those measurements. Please don't install, handle, or remove the PCO-7125 while it's operating. Allow sufficient space around the module for air circulation. Don't use it where liquids are present or in corrosive environments. And finally, please read and understand the operating manual. When you operate the PCO-7125 on your workbench, please be sure to isolate it from any conductive surfaces and observe the safety precautions that I mentioned earlier. Before we start, we'll make sure that all of our support equipment is off. The control cable has 3 pairs of twisted wire. The orange and black pair will supply 12-volt support power. The red and black pair will be connected to your trigger source. And finally, the blue and black pair will be connected to your high-voltage power supply. After wiring the control cable for supplying the 12-volt support power, the gate signal, and the high-voltage supply, attach the connector to J1 on the PCO-7125. Verify that the external trigger source is capable of pulsing 4 to 5 volts into 50 ohms. If you've purchased the optional PCA-9245 current monitor cable, you can attach it to your scope and to the J2 position on the module. Please note that you'll need to set your scope's termination impedance to 50 ohms in order to get the proper signal. The first thing we'll turn on is the 12-volt support power or housekeeping power. The next step is to power on the high voltage power supply, making sure not to exceed 200 volts. Finally, simply enable the trigger source. It will take about 15 minutes for the unit to reach thermal stability, after which you can adjust the high voltage to achieve the current you want, up to the 200 volt maximum. In order to power down the unit, you simply reverse the process. Disable the trigger or gate signal, turn off the high voltage power supply, turn off the 12-volt housekeeping power, and your module is off and ready to be handled. Now you know just how easy it is to set up and operate the PCO-7125 pulsed laser diode driver module. Directed Energy is your pulsed power partner from lab to launch. To learn more about how you can use the PCO-7125 in your application, please call us at 970-493-1901, email us at sales@directedenergy.com, or visit the product webpage by clicking the link below or scrolling down if you're already on our website. All right, thank you, Marty. Thank you for watching those. If you're wondering, both of those videos are available independent of one another on the product page for the PCO-7125. They're also available on our YouTube channel. There's a PCO-7125 playlist that has those two videos, and we'll also have this webinar video as well once we're done with it. So thanks again for watching those. We'll go back and we'll talk a little bit about pricing and availability now. So the manufacturer's suggested retail price is at $104 in the United States in single piece quantities. Outside the United States, please contact your local representative. You can find your local rep up in the Where to Buy menu item in the toolbar of the website. Go ahead and click that. You'll find a list of countries with contact information for representatives in those countries. If you don't find your country listed, please contact us directly, and we'll either put you in touch with the right person or we'll work with you directly, and we can do that as well. So the availability for the units, they're currently in stock, and we expect to keep them in stock with potentially a 4-week lead time depending on demand. And that's basically it for availability and pricing. If you have any questions, obviously contact us at sales@directedenergy.com, and we can get you additional information. As I said earlier, I always like to talk about the Lab to Launch program when we have these webinars. The Lab to Launch program is where we work directly with customers. We like to work with you as early in the process as we possibly can, so that we can help you identify the specs and the requirements for your driver as early in your process as we can. And that ultimately saves you time to market and also cost of development. And so what the benefit is that you've got a pulsar designed by experts, manufactured in an ISO registered facility, tested and ready for installation. So our modules, like I said, they save you time and at the effort and cost. And so we like to work with you, like I said, early in development, and we bring our expertise right to your lab, virtually speaking, so that you can focus on your product and your end customer, and we can provide the pulse solution that you need for your requirements. And so at this point, we'll go ahead and open it up for questions. And like I may have mentioned earlier, this takes a little bit of time, so bear with us. We will go off mic while we're waiting for people to type questions in. But as soon as someone comes in with a question, we'll go ahead and answer those live. As I mentioned before, if there's a question that requires a discussion about intellectual property or something that might be proprietary to your company, or that has a complex set of circumstances, it might be easier to contact us directly at sales@directedenergy.com, or go ahead and give us a call and we'll answer those questions. So at this point, go ahead and type questions into the Q&A section of the Zoom platform, and we look forward to answering them. Okay, so we have our first question is, what is the shortest pulse that can be made, and do we have plans to make a shorter pulse? We're going to take a second here so we can pull up a reference and we will get back to the question. All right, Marty's going to go ahead and dig this up for you, and I'm going to turn it over to him.
Well, with the PCO-7125, you can get a minimum pulse width of 30 nanoseconds. We do plan on getting smaller pulse widths with some new products that are in development now. We're looking at having pulse widths where you can adjust from 5 nanoseconds up to 1 microsecond in the future. Does that answer your question?
Great, thank you for asking that. Hi, thank you for the question, Ken. And the question is, can LEDs be pulsed, or LEDs can be pulsed at much higher currents than the CW spec without damaging them? And have we looked at the current limits for pulsed LEDs, maybe versus laser diodes? We haven't characterized every diode. What I would recommend is please go ahead and let us know what LED you're interested in, and we'd be happy to talk to you and work with you individually on whether or not the 7125 would be a good match for a specific LED or diode. Does that answer your question? Great, thank you. Okay, I want to respect everybody's time. It doesn't look like anybody's typing anything, any additional questions in right now. So we'll go ahead and wrap it up. If we didn't get to a question that you have, or if you were furiously typing and I'm cutting you off, I sincerely apologize. Go ahead and email us the questions and we'll get back to you. Again, I want to thank you for your time this morning and look forward to working with you on answering questions about the PCO-7125. And also, just a quick reminder, when you do log out of the Zoom program, let us know how we did this morning and if there's anything we can do to make this a better experience for you. I'd like to thank you on behalf of myself, Marty, and the team here at Directed Energy. Have a great day.